we've been wanting to together a video for a while now. We've just gotten busy with fishing.
Yeah.
About just redfish, not fishing for redfish necessarily, just like
about redfish.
Yeah, it's funny how little we know about fish in general, to include redfish. I'd love to have a GPS to be able to afford GPS trackers to put on these things to learn more. But
and not just like you and I, but like scientists. And
I wish
like,
I hear about what they're doing to research tarpon and stuff. But redfish are just like, oh, they're redfish.
Yeah.
I love redfish. They're our bread and butter. Year round. This is a fish that we get to fish. I was telling the guy he was asking, like, are the redfish running? The redfish don't run here. Year round, our juvenile redfish are, I guess you could bull reds.
Yeah.
Year round, our juvenile redfish are inshore. They're in shallow water every day of the year. And
so I think like it's worth clarifying, like the fish that we are targeting, especially when we're sight fishing, are typically going to be 1 to 4 or 5 years old.
So up to about the higher end, if you got lucky, would be like 33 inches. Would be
low to
massive. Yeah, would be a massive fish. You don't see many of them.
Would typically be a 5-year-old female, most likely.
Yes, because so they take this time. So basically, juvenile redfish, their first 3 to 5 years, generally 4 to 5 years of life, they are juveniles. This is what we're largely targeting. It's very rare that we see bull reds. Somebody was asking me, what do I consider a bull red to be? Some people say a bull red's like a fish that's over slot, over 30 inches. Generally, when I see a fish that's getting around 36 inches or so, that's when I'm starting to be like, that's a bull red.
Yeah.
Occasionally, though, you'll see some fish that are smaller that really have some, like, they just have a different body shape. They just look more mature and older.
Yeah.
So there's not like a solid line, like this is a bull red and this is not a bull red. But generally, we don't see like the mature redfish, because once they become bull reds, they typically, in our area, there are places where they definitely come up in the shallows.
Yeah.
It's very rare for us to see true bull reds in shallow water.
Inshore.
All these little caveats.
Asterisk.
In our area, generally, once they become bull reds, they spend their time in deeper water, mostly in the ocean. But in October,
But even when they
September,
come back in,
they typically stay in deeper water. People are catching them on the bridges. They're catching them in the
old bridge
holes.
trolls.
Yeah, the old bridge, stuff like that. But the cool thing about redfish is, while it takes them so long to reach maturity, but they can live to be 40 years old, and they can get as big as 80 inches long. So like little whales. They're incredible fish.
I think on that note too, like the rate of growth in their first 4 years is exponential.
Yeah.
Once they reach maturity and they reach that bull red stage to go offshore and they're sexually mature, can spawn, the rate of growth slows significantly. Like sometimes like even just like a quarter inch a year, as little as a quarter inch a year.
Yeah, and I just got some tagging reports back, but when they're young, they're growing pretty quick. And like the difference between when that fish was tagged and how long it was, I wish I'd grabbed it, but maybe we'll put like a little note here. When that fish was tagged and then when it was caught, and like the growth rate between that period, like they're growing pretty quick when they're young. They get really big. They can grow to be really old. The deal with redfish though is, because it takes them so long to reach maturity, to begin to reproduce, they're very vulnerable to overfishing.
Yeah.
So they have this like long window, this 4 to 5 years, where just if they're over harvested in that window, you're going to see a massive decrease, or
in the future.
In the future,
because there's not enough brute stock to go out and spawn and replenish.
Very few of them make it to be bull reds in the first place.
Right.
So there are regulations put in place for slot limits. The fish has to be this big and cannot be bigger than this. In South Carolina, it's a smaller slot limit. Some places let you keep fish that are bigger. Anyways, that protects the bull reds. But bull reds are very vulnerable when you are catching bull reds if you keep them out of the water, you're taking
be
pictures.
handled properly.
Yeah, especially in the summer.
Revived.
These are big fish. You fight them. They're much more they're much more vulnerable. A younger redfish, generally you catch it, put it back in the water, it takes off. Like you're not. They're very durable fish. These bull reds are more vulnerable, and while he may swim off, a lot of them, unfortunately,
Taking the time to
die.
Properly revive him
And not keep him out of the water for a long time.
Handle it well. Yeah.
Very important with those bull reds. That's definitely been a consideration because bull red fishing has become more and more popular. Like I said, they do come typically like the bull reds kind of run in a sense. Basically, they're coming in to spawn in that August, September, October timeframe.
Yeah.
Generally, we think September, October.
Yeah.
But it's, again, going back to how I think I started this conversation with, it's funny how little we actually know about.
We think.
Yeah, we think.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of there's not a lot of really heavy research on redfish because they're not as sexy as like tarpon and bonefish and things like that. Permanent, you know.
And I think too, like I think what makes our fishery so cool is those juvenile fish that we are targeting and sight fishing predominantly. They exhibit such a wide range of behaviors and places they like to hang out. And so while we have a great red fishing fishery year round, the way that you target them or the behavior that those fish exhibit changes throughout the year with the seasons and the forage. And so while it's the same fish that you're targeting all year, oftentimes it can feel like a different fish, you know, anywhere from like the wintertime schools, you know, when they're schooled up trying to stay away from the dolphins, to the solo tailing fish on a flood tide flat or solo cruisers with their backs out of the water. It's just they exhibit such a wide range of behaviors that make them just perfect for sight fishing.
Yes.
You know, and you just get to see a lot of different cool things, and some days you get to see all of those things and
all together
in one day.
Yeah.
And some days, you know, you're focusing on one thing more than the other, but they're just such a fascinating fish. They're a great sport fish. They fight hard. Most of the time are relatively willing to eat.
You're just beat down because it's May.
Yeah.
Oftentimes they're very honest fish.
Yeah, you put the fly, lure, whatever in the right spot. Most of the time, you know, if that fish is going to eat, you know, if they're hungry, they're going to eat. Yeah. And then you're off to the races.
Yeah, really
so
strong.
Just very, very cool, very resilient fish. But again, like you had said about the overfishing, you have to, you know, protect that and, you know, and make sure that other people get to fish for those fish.
Yeah, because it's definitely, you know, I think a lot of people don't understand why the redfish are regulated so much and why they're considering even regulating redfish more, trying to cut those limits down because, you know, the population on the coast, the popularity of redfish, the population on the coasts are getting more abundant. Yeah. There's more people fishing for these fish.
Skyrocketing.
The resource is not getting any more abundant. Like we have a limited number of fish.
Yeah.
So with all that pressure and how vulnerable they are to overfishing because it takes them so long to ever replace themselves. So all those fish that are kept aren't reproducing or never have reproduced. So there's a lot of vulnerability there because of that. Like it takes them so long to reach maturity. And even then, they don't immediately start like producing to the extent that like a very old bull red does. But again, that's why you got to really take care of those old bull reds as well. Just a really cool fish that I am very passionate about.
Yeah,
I mean,
or else we wouldn't be doing
yeah,
this.
I was going to say, because that is the fish year round that we're chasing. And that is the fish, like if I could only have one, while these other things are really sexy and we're really excited about the jacks showing up and these cobia and the tarpon, these other things that are starting to happen now that it's summer.
Yeah.
We've been blessed for the last 6 months. We've been chasing redfish, and having a blast doing it. And they're just such a
cool behaviors,
awesome thing.
Cool eats, cool,
awesome,
just
so
incredible
many
stuff.
Yeah, they do so many cool things.
Yeah.
So I love it. You know, love the idea. You know, hey, these are like a very sporty fish, and let's take care of them. And hopefully, just kind of some of the stuff we've said maybe sparks your interest more in redfish, or fills in some of the gaps and some information you didn't know. A lot of people don't know.
Yeah, and we're still learning too.
Oh, and we're definitely still learning
as a whole. Yeah,
and I think there's a lot more research to be done and learning to be had about redfish in general as well. So we're very very interested in them and continue to soak up whatever we can about them. But that's a little bit of what we think we know about redfish. And
if you have any cool facts,
if you
feel free to share them.
Please.
All 4 cool facts about redfish. So.
Yeah. Appreciate your time.